All right, so we are one day away on the eve of WrestleMania, the biggest WrestleMania of all time. I mean, they always say that, but I mean, I guess you could make a case for this being the biggest WrestleMania of all time.
I
I,
would say no. I think it actually lives up to its billing that it is the biggest of all time
I
for
think it
sure.
is because I think that this can change a lot of the landscape of the company, and that WWE is arguably. Oh, I think it's definitely as hard as it's been, the hardest it's been rather since the Attitude Era. I wouldn't go so far as say it's bigger than the Attitude Era, but I guess you could make a case for that. And obviously with this run that Roman Reigns has been on, he could possibly lose, or he could possibly, keep the momentum going and keep this run going. So, okay, I'm not mad at people saying that this is the biggest WrestleMania of all time, but a lot of times that shit pisses me off. Like the year 2 years ago when Brock and Roman fought for the Universal title, and they said, "Oh, it's the biggest WrestleMania of all time." I'm like, dog, we shouldn't have fought like 5 or 6 times already in this at this stage. No, it's not.
It wasn't interesting at all.
Terrible match.
But I mean, this Mania is like really intriguing. Like with what's going to happen with the tag match with Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth. Like, as it is night two going to be held in bloodline rules? Um, you know, is The Rock going to turn on Roman? Is Seth going to turn on Cody? There's just so much like of these um moving pieces, and the fact that it's extending from night one and night two, I think kind of makes the whole weekend even more interesting in that way.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it with night one. So if it's going to be headlining, it's going to be Roman and Rock versus Cody and Seth. And if Rock and Roman are victorious, night two will be bloodline rules between Cody and Roman for the Universal title. I'm under the impression that there's no way in hell that Roman and them are going to win on night one. I think that you have to make it um bloodline rules on night two, only because I mean what we've seen so far, this is like an impossible task for Cody to overcome, right? I mean, you still have the beatdown he got from The Rock, then the beatdown him and Seth got on Raw this past week by The Rock and Roman. So it just seems like, hey, why don't you go all the way and just make it seem like this is going to be impossible? Bloodline rules, right? Otherwise, I think it's kind of pointless having that stipulation into the match.
Yeah, I mean, I think like to have Cody even overcome even more adversity, it would have to be bloodline rules for night two, you know? So like despite all the interference, like I'm sure Jimmy and Solo are gonna be involved in some
Oh
fashion.
Lord.
The Rock, like for Cody to just gut it out and win against all those odds, I think would make it more of a compelling story. I don't think they would just throw out the bloodline rules thing out there if they actually weren't gonna follow through with that.
Absolutely. You have to follow up with it, I think, at this point. Um, so next question. How do you think that what's your thoughts on the past few weeks as it relates to the storyline? Because my thought is you're kind of making Cody look too weak. That's just my opinion. Um, you gotta like have some balance in there. Because like if Cody is to finish his story, I don't think it's gonna come off as believable based on what we've seen transpire the last few weeks. That's just me. What's your take?
Um, so I see what you're saying. I think like the only kind of offense that Cody has had on The Rock so far is like he slapped him maybe once or something. And The
Oh
Rock,
he did come in last week and gave him a few punches, and then when he
but like,
getting I forgot the name of the move right now on the table when Roman came in and grabbed him by the legs off the table. So
yeah. So I mean, they did a little bit of physicality, but for the most part, it's been Cody sort of being like manhandled by The Rock. Um, I think like I think I don't think that Cody is looking that weak. I think like they're building up to him uh really like fucking up The Rock, on night one. My biggest issue with the storyline is like Roman has been very eclipsed in this feud, and it's almost like it's being treated as Rock versus Cody. And the segment that they did a couple weeks ago at the end of Raw, where like, they're like Cody and Rock were out in the rain, and like Rock was like beating him near Cody's tour bus. Like I think that kind of heat Roman needed going into the match. And right now it's like Rock has been getting all the heat. He's done sort of most of the promos for this match. Um, and Roman has sort of been in the background this whole time. But I also know like they're trying to make it seem like Rock is basically following orders from Roman. Like a few weeks ago, Rock acknowledged Roman as being the tribal chief, and then I think Paul Heyman cut a promo on SmackDown and said like it was Roman that sent uh The Rock to attack Cody, but it's just on a surface level, Rock is getting all the heat right now, and he although I've really been enjoying the Rock's heel run, like the final boss shit. Like I think it's like really rejuvenated his career, but he's probably not gonna be around post Mania. So it's like given all the heat to the Rock when Roman is there, and right now he's kind of playing second fiddle to the Rock in this feud.
I was gonna bring that up, but you took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, Roman is kind of like an afterthought in this championship picture, which doesn't really make sense considering that he is the tribal chief and is on this amazing run, legendary run. We can add that. See, that's my problem with this with Triple H as a booker when it comes to Mania, the build up for Mania. Because like last year, I was saying to myself, there's not enough interactions with Cody and Roman going into Mania. What's going on? Like this is like the headline of the main event of your Super Bowl, and the people that are going to participate in the match not really being built up well. And then here we are now, where again Roman is considered like he's an afterthought. It's like it feels like it's about to be the Rock versus Roman at Mania. So I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
really get that, but I would say maybe Triple H is trying to take this approach where he doesn't want the booking to be predictable in a sense. So it kind of leaves like the viewer guessing. They don't really know the outcome per se because throughout wrestling history, outcome has been predictable. If you're a fan of wrestling like us, you
yeah,
can you can get the like that's what's why I was pissed off last year when Cody didn't win because I was like, yo, people in that wrestlers in that situation, when they build something up like that, he wins at Mania. He points to the sign. It's like 98% of the time he's victorious at Mania. What the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So that's what they got pissed off. And they should, and I still think that they should have went that route because they know they wanted to have Rock versus Roman. They didn't need the title, and they didn't need to have the title involved. It would have been like Rock versus Hogan, and there was no title involved, and that felt like the main event of the card. So they could
yeah,
have went that route. But
yeah,
no, they wanted to keep the belt on Roman. Then we had to create this little consolation prize, this WWE championship that Seth got that nobody really cares about. So that's my only gripe with Triple H as the booker. Otherwise, he's been fantastic. Nobody's perfect.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard to know what Triple H's mindset is at this point. Um, but I think Roman would have benefited greatly. And granted, SmackDown's tonight, or when we record, so anything can happen. But I think Roman would have benefited greatly to be the one to give the serious beatdown to Cody, to like really up his heel heat. Um, and right now it's just been Rock is dominating, and now the crowd is like getting into him again and like Rocky chants and stuff like that. So I feel like the Rock ideally would be in a supporting role, but now I think he's starting to seriously eclipse Roman. Um, yeah,
Absolutely, he definitely is. I mean, this is what happens. I mean, I would say, in terms of strictly popularity, there's no other wrestlers bigger than him that you can make a case for in the history outside of Hogan and Austin. And I think it's like right there with them. So, and again, this guy's just like a once in a generational talent on the microphone. He's just amazing, electrifying, no pun intended. So yeah, but again, like it just feels like Roman, like is like kind of like put to the side, and the fact that he's participating in this matchup, he's the tribal chief. It's crazy. So I mean, I guess we could say, do you think Cody will finish his story at the end of Mania Night 2? Will we see Cody victorious and crying and all the confetti coming down for him?
I think they gotta do it. If they're gonna do it, they have to do it at Mania. You know, like to your point, the way that last year ended, it was very shocking that Cody lost. You
I couldn't
know,
believe it.
and at the time, it kind of seemed like Cody was dead in the water. But this past year, um, they spent a lot of time building him up, like that feud of Brock and stuff, and then him winning the Rumble the way he did. So I think it's just time, like Cody should solidify himself in the biggest stage in the biggest WrestleMania. And then on top of that, Roman's reign has just gotten stale. Like at this point, like they're not going to break, or they shouldn't try to break San Martino's record or like even Hogan's record. It's just like
I wait. I thought he broke San Martino's record.
no. So I think San Martino, his record is like something insane, like 14 years or something like that.
Okay, never mind.
It's like that's a record that I think will just be unreachable.
Got
But I
that
think
right.
I think he's like third of all time. I don't think he's beaten like Hulk Hogan's reign or something.
No, he has. I think you have to be champion until September to beat
Yeah.
Hogan's reign. And I personally think that he should be Hogan's reign. And I know Hogan, he did what he did. But hey, at the end of the day, like what
Like,
that guy meant to wrestling, I
you know,
don't think that he should eclipse him in that run.
I don't even think they're thinking of it that way. Like, oh, like let's take Hogan off of the record books because of the shit. Especially since like they've like brought him back into the fold. Like I think he has a Legends deal and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What really concerns me about the main event is like I don't know how much WWE is really investing in this like historic title run for Roman, you know, because if the priority is Roman holding on to it long enough to beat Hogan, like to get close to San Martino, that means that obviously Cody's going to lose at WrestleMania. And I think like as much as the fans have been behind Cody this past year, if he loses again, I can see sort of the pessimism setting in with the fans about like, can we believe in this dude? You know,
Exactly.
like
Like, do you want to run that risk? I mean, because like, and the fact that he's a two-time back-to-back Rumble winner, I believe only Shawn Michaels, Austin, and I think Hogan are the only people to do that. And I'm sure that they walked out of Rumble. Walked out of Mania with a title at least one time after
yeah,
those two victories at the Rumble. So
yeah, it's a coronation, like that's what it is. For a lot of times, it's like Stone Cold won the Royal Rumble. His coronation was WrestleMania 14, right? It was just like
in
solidified
Boston,
in Boston. I was watching it on Peacock the other day. I'm just like,
they wait the entire Mania or the match in itself.
yeah, I was
Wait, with the
just
match, I didn't hear you. The match.
like I was watching like the first half of the entire Mania.
Hmm.
You know, that was interesting. Like
it,
Triple,
it, it was a bad matchup though, championship match, only because of Shawn Michaels' condition with his back. I felt like
yeah.
it was just real lackluster compared to what we are accustomed to see, what we were accustomed to seeing of him.
And at that time, he had a really it was at the height of like his drug issues at that
Oh
time. So it was very like it was before he found Jesus. So he was just not really. But my
yeah,
point
and
is like,
that was his last
yeah,
match for five years.
yep, until he came back. Yep. But like my point is, I think if Cody loses, I think he will run the risk of losing fan support. And I don't know, dude. I would be pretty like I've been talking to my colleagues about it because like uh me and my two colleagues were like huge wrestling fans, like obsessed and stuff. So like we've just been talking about how nervous we've been the past couple of days at like the idea of Cody possibly losing, like that would be yeah, that would be really devastating, I think. Like
Yeah, I mean, I think he has to win because also too, I think he's the perfect successor for Roman Reigns to be the face of the company, right? I feel like he's the hottest face since Cena. I
yeah, I
don't know
would
if
say
he's quite Cena's level, like if he has eclipsed him yet in terms of that popularity, but he's right there.
I
So
think
hey,
appeals to kids a lot. Like
Yeah,
little kids love Cody Rhodes the same
he's a
way
real
that,
politician.
yes, if he decided to run for office someday, I think he would. He could easily be a state senator. Has that appeal with kids, and I think that's what kind of makes him the actual successor to Cena. And you know, I think if Roman loses, he can go away for a while.
I was gonna say, did you see the reports floating out there that he's possibly that he's gonna be off TV for quite some time after Mania? If that's the
No,
case, then man, he can't have the title, man. Like, come on. Like they're talking about like, wait, is the Money in the Bank's in July, right?
yeah, I think so.
So it's like around Money in the Bank or SummerSlam could be his first matchup back for Mania. If that's the case, he can't have the title. Man. I want my champion to be full time. I want him to make like regular appearances on programming.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of been like the common theme of Roman's title reign is that he's usually not on TV. Or if he is, like he's on there to cut promos. Like he doesn't wrestle on the main shows. I think he only wrestles on the big pay-per-views.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think WWE has shown that they would be comfortable keeping the belt on someone who's gonna be gone for like X amount of months. I was like, you
They did the
know,
same thing with Brock Lesnar too. He was part time when he was on his title run, like the mid
exactly.
2010s, whatever. Um, so yeah, man. But I just want to get back to seeing a champion on the TV regular. Even though I'm not mad about Roman because at the same time, but you could complain about him not being on TV that much, but you could also counter that saying, hey, when he comes on TV, it's like a big deal. It's like fight night. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I guess it balances it up. But I'm old school. I like seeing my champions on TV.
yeah.
Um. Oh, sorry.
I like to see him wrestle on TV too, at least sometimes. Real-
Yeah, remember last year we got hoaxed into the that was the
Easy.
worst Raw at the Mania ever. Remember it was Solo and Roman against Cody and Brock, and then so I'm looking at my clock that night. I remember like wait, it's like 10 minutes left till the Raw ends. What the hell? Oh, now it makes sense. Brock's gonna go rogue and just beat Cody's ass for like 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah, no, we
We got hoaxed.
like
But yeah, so I want to move switch gears to another match on the card. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. Um, I'm really a fan of Drew and what he's been doing so far. Especially on social media, his troll game is A1.
yeah, it is.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's really him tweeting. Probably is, but he is. Whoever's doing it, they are killing it on social media, and he's killing it on TV too. Um, I think that it would be a good idea to put the title on him. But the contract situation, I don't think he's hasn't been reported yet, at least to my knowledge, that he's re-upped with WWE. So would they put a title on him on that case just to have it for like a because I think it's contract up in a couple of months. I think I don't know, but would you have that title on him for that short amount of time and then have him lose it if he exits?
Um, so I know that he hasn't officially re-signed, but WWE just announced that they're gonna do Clash of the Castle in Scotland this year.
In June, yeah.
So you have to imagine if they're doing that show that McIntyre is gonna be there, possibly champion.
I believe he's on promotional poster too as well. If
Right,
I'm correct, I think he was on it.
right. So, I imagine that they're probably still hammering out the details of the contract. There's also like the fact that AEW could be involved. They have unlimited funds.
Oh, we see that, yeah.
Khan has said that he's gonna try to be aggressive this year with free agents.
I
Um,
can imagine that Drew's on the top of his list.
yeah, how can he not be? I mean, I think like Drew has added another dimension to his character over the past year. He just seems more natural on the mic. Um, he's going like toe to toe with CM Punk. Um, like you said, he's trolling. He's trolling on Twitter. He's also making like videos, like trolling. Like he was in front of Mindy's Donuts the other day in Chicago, like trolling Punk. So, and I think he's as hot as he's ever been in his career. So I think the timing is right for him to win the title. And then I also think Seth, I think so, in my opinion, Seth has done an amazing job establishing this belt, making it seem important or like the actual workhorse title, like
The title where the champion is regularly on programming, who competes, even though he's dealing with the injury. Hey, wait, but the injury he had, it was a torn meniscus, if I'm correct, right?
so I think it was like who Seth? I think he had like a back injury.
Oh
Or
no,
like
I think I got hurt against Jinder Mahal. I could have sworn it was like a knee issue. And it makes if it's meniscus, and I'm guessing it's a slight tear because, to my recollection, there was no surgery. I don't think he's even competed since then. I think they were saving him for Mania. At least he hasn't competed on TV. I know that. Maybe he has worked some house shows, but then again, would you risk that? So here we are now.
I think you're right because I think he said he did a promo a couple of weeks ago saying that he was medically cleared for like the first time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because he fought Solo. I'm sorry, he did fight Solo on Raw. I didn't watch the match, but that's when the Rock came out, and then
Segment. I was talking about that segment because like you know Seth was in the crowd and then he challenged The Rock. The crowd went crazy. Then he's like, oh, like, maybe I'll challenge Roman. Crowd goes crazy. Then he goes, then Solo goes, I'll challenge you. There's like dead
they were
silence.
deflated. Honestly, a lot of people felt like that on my timeline, and I felt the same way, which is why I didn't watch the match.
Yeah, like Solo used to feel like very special. Like when he was first on the bloodline, there was sort of this like air about him
Kind
where
of like Umaga. Yeah,
very much like Umaga, very much like Umaga, or just like there was a point where I think people wanted to see him versus Roman, about him like kind of standing his ground against Roman, but I think now they just kind of made him feel like he's just another dude. Like the crowd was just so deflated. They were like, we don't want to see this shit. Like, come on.
I know I didn't want to see it either. I ain't mad at them.
I swear, I was watching Raw live. I'm like, I'm not watching this.
I,
I don't
I
want
think I heard that he hasn't won since he beat Cena at the pay-per-view. I forgot what pay-per-view it was when he fought Cena. Was it Saudi Arabia when he
to.
fought
Yeah.
Cena?
So, yeah.
Yeah, so he hasn't got a victory since, which is crazy. All that momentum after beating Cena to go without a victory since then is wild.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that for sure.
yeah.
You know.
Yo, so what I bring up too? I want to go back to night one, night two. I was listening to JR's podcast for a little bit today, and dude was talking about Conrad was talking on it today, saying
Mhm.
how WWE is taking a risk here, in having both Roman and Cody going back to back.
Yeah.
Roman, who doesn't wrestle at all,
Yeah.
right? Is his body going to be used to that? To like, are they gonna try to limit what they do on night one to save them for night two? Also, Seth too is working night one and night two. He's gonna come out. He's coming off an injury too. You're kind of taking a risk here. So they're probably like, do you play it safe? How do you approach this? I'm like, yeah, interesting. Because you don't really see, well, I mean, we haven't had many night one, night twos yet in Mania history. They've been only doing that since the pandemic.
Right.
Uh, so this is kind of new territory for them, but it is kind of risky there, having these top guys compete on both nights, which makes you think, well, that what's going to happen or how's it gonna unfold. Something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a definite risk of injury when, the main event's probably gonna go 20 to 30 minutes. And if either one of them get injured, that destroys night two. So it is interesting that they are taking that risk. And also just it's really gonna be curious to see The Rock in an actual wrestling match, like him running the ropes, like stuff like that. Like, can he still do it at his age? He looks good, like aesthetically, like he looks pretty jacked, but have we seen him take a bump really? Or like, yeah, so we haven't seen him take a bump. We haven't really seen him like do anything wrestling wise. So it's gonna be interesting in that tag match what level of physicality he's going
Was
to
his
be.
last match versus Cena? Has it been that long?
So I think it's been 8 years, I think. So like Cena and Mania.
Yeah, was that his last time he's competed in a WWE ring? I mean, I remember that one Mania where he beat homie from the real like in 5 seconds. Homie from the Wyatt family. I forgot which one it was.
Eric,
Name. Yes, yes. But I'm not counting that. That's just count. I'm talking about really taking bumps and taking 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 some punishment in the ring
right.
in those ropes hitting that mat. So
Yeah, it's like how's that gonna play out, It's it's a risky proposition, but I guess for the sake of intrigue, they're going to, go with the match. But
mm, yeah. Hey, we could talk about the women's side. Um, Becky versus Rhea for
yeah,
the title. It's crazy. It's crazy how that just it feels way bigger than Bailey and EO. But hey, for obvious reason, those two together have way more star power than the other two. Even though Bailey did win the Rumble, but we can start off with Becky and Rhea. I'm liking what I'm seeing with their story and everything, and how Becky came to confront her on Homie's podcast, Ariel. I forgot how to pronounce his last name. The MMA Hour. I watched that, and she came on and confronted her. So they had that angle on the show. It was kind of cool, and then seeing them like attack each other on Raw and security get involved. So they are doing a good job of building that matchup. Um, Personally, what I think should happen, I don't know what's gonna happen, but if it was me booking that match, I am booking Rhea to win mainly because I don't know. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, or how you feel, but I think that her run's been lackluster this far, and not by any fault of her own. It's just the fact that she's been had to be paired up with Judgment Day, which I think that it's just unnecessary. They're not intimidating at all. It's kind of goofy to me. That's just me. And the fact that who she really like competed with during the championship run. But I'm thinking of Nia Jackson, Zoe Starks. Who else has she really fought since that run? Do you
like
remember
Natal-
anybody else? Trying to
it was
think.
I think she fought Natalia maybe like at one pay-per-view or
Oh
something.
Lord.
She hasn't really had and then she's like feuded a little bit with Liv Morgan, but
Mm-hmm.
she really hasn't had that like signature win. Um, and but she's just like, incredibly hot right now.
Really
Incredible
hot.
as a
Really hot.
heel.
I love Rhea Ripley. Don't get me wrong. I love her. I want to see her. I want to see her win the title. I mean, like, I'm just like gonna compare her run to Bianca's run, her last title run. Her run was way better than Rhea so far. I mean, she fought Becky, dealt with Bailey a couple of times, Io, who else? Oscar. So that was more impressive to me than what I seen from her than what I seen from Rhea. I only say that to say that I think Rhea should win because that a victory, beating the man, beating with one of the original four horsewomen since being champion. It would help solidify this run. So I would, and you like I said, she's hot right now, one of the hottest stars in the company.
Yeah, and I also feel like Becky has like cooled off considerably over the last few years. And although her in-ring work has still remained solid, I think like the man character doesn't really hit as hard as it used to. Like,
Definitely doesn't. I
so
feel
like
like she's reached her
uh,
peak with that.
she reached her peak. And I think I think a big thing about WrestleMania in general is like, you know, different variations of passing. And for Rhea to be the woman, the clear-cut woman to represent the division and WWE, like she has to beat Becky. And I don't see any scenario where Becky wins. And I hope she doesn't because I think that would be a step back for that title. And Rhea is just so white hot. And I don't know how old she is. I think she's like
She's like
26.
28, bro, like 28, 29. She's young. That's wild. Everybody else that's hot, like everybody else on her level in terms of popularity in WWE and the division, it's like at least 34 to like 37.
Right.
She's not even 30 yet. That's wild.
Right. So she has like, you know, she could be the foundation of the future for the women's division for like many, many years. So I think like to put that investment on her right now, um, to have that signature win and represent the women's division, like I think I think it just makes sense. I'm not even thinking of Becky winning as like a, an actual option because it just, you know,
And I don't know if you saw the podcast. When she was on the MMA hour, she was talking about her contract situation. She only has 2 months left. She hasn't been presented with a contract yet. And then homie asked her, "Do you think this is your last WrestleMania?" She said, "Oh, I don't think that at all." But hey, we talked about Tony Khan. You know, he said he's going to be aggressive this year. I couldn't imagine him not trying to get Becky Lynch to
so from
AEW,
my understanding, Becky and Seth both have their contracts up around the same time.
which makes
And
sense, them being married and everything.
exactly. So, and neither one of them have re-signed. So I think wherever they go, it's going to be a package deal kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see them doing like the I don't know, Charlotte Andrade thing where like one person's in AEW, the other person's in
Or even
WWE.
like Buddy and Rhea right now.
Like you know, they have a young daughter. I think they're gonna want to be together wherever they go. So if AEW somehow is able to sign them, I think that would be a needle mover for AEW. Like if
Yes,
they oh, they can do some crazy shit. Like if they
because
want
oh, sorry, continue on.
crazy shit, like if they want to put Becky against Mercedes Monet and like have that ignite.
No, 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 no. They should save that. Don't do it right away. They can
Yeah,
save
not
it though.
like whatever. If they want to do it like at Wembley or like you know they can do Seth versus like Will Ospreay. Like they
That'd be a great match. I saw a quote from the Ringer article. They interviewed Seth. And he was praising Will Ospreay and everything. Like he happy that he's seen him getting the recognition because he's like one of the best wrestlers in the world. That'd be a banger if those two went at it. Even I think even Seth and Swerve would be a fire match.
that'll be sick too. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. So
So
there's so many combinations they can do, but um I don't know. But Becky and Seth also strike me as WWE
lifers.
lifers. Yeah, lifers. Like they're not gonna want to leave for like any reason, you know.
I mean, hey, did you think that Mercedes did you view Mercedes as a WWE lifer?
I mean, I did at some point.
Yeah.
I
I
mean, yeah,
mean, who knows, man?
I
I mean,
did.
I really think that the only way they can leave is this. Um, the money is right. If it's more than what WWE is willing to offer, and I don't know, but I would think that now that it's under the TKO umbrella, they're not going to be willing to spend as much money as they would outside of the TKO umbrella. I'm just going to guess that. So, and you know, Tony Khan don't mind spending money. He's got unlimited funds.
Well, that's the big difference. I think, like, you know, TKO, it's like there's a board of directors, it's a publicly traded company. There's so many like considerations that they have to do with their signings. Whereas with Tony Khan, it's one guy, who's one source, like in terms of the money. So there's not going to be as much deliberation with the AEW signing. It's just all right, like we got the money, so you know, um,
He doesn't have to reveal how much the company's profit is for the certain year, for the years, whatever. And
no.
yeah, it'd be interesting. Um, all right, so other matches on the card. Well, let's talk about EO and Bailey. Like I said, I think that this is crazy that a Roman winner kind of feels like an afterthought for a championship match at Mania. That doesn't even sound right, but it is what it is. I wonder why it feels like that. See, this goes. Actually, you know what? I think I know why. This goes back to what I always thought about the four horsewomen. Bailey, I feel like whenever there's a group of individuals, there's always that one person that's like left like significantly below the others in terms of regard. And I feel like that's Bailey when it comes to Mercedes, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair. I think
Yeah,
those two are held on a far higher pedestal than Bailey is. That could be a problem. As to why this match hasn't doesn't really feel as hyped as it should, considering the stakes that are involved in Mania. But I'm happy that Bailey's getting the recognition that he deserves, breaking away from damage control. Now, I felt that was pretty obvious that was going to happen eventually. I was like, you know what? I think damage control is going to turn on Bailey. I had a feeling that. And then when EO cashed in the Money in the Bank at SummerSlam to win the title, and then it kind of felt like, oh, yeah, she's going to be out of there. I called it. It happened. Um, what's your thoughts on this match or the build-up? to it.
I mean, I think the buildup has been suffering because of the storyline. Like in the storyline, like Bailey just looks dumb. Like she looks dumb for she looks dumb for like trusting damage control for as long as she did. Like, and then she also looks dumb for trusting Dakota to like have her back.
That
And
was obvious that she was going to turn her. I knew that when that match was going down. Yeah, here we go.
so like it's I guess they're trying to make Bailey feel sympathetic, but then it also just makes her look like she is just very naive and stuff. And uh I also feel like they haven't like she hasn't really put any heat on EO, you know?
Yeah,
Like
she began to ass whooped a lot. She
yeah,
hasn't gotten her lick in. Nah, I don't.
she hasn't gotten into hers in, so and I think so when she won the Rumble, like the crowd was like really hot for her at that night, you know? But I think just like based on watching the shows, I don't think that she has reached a level of sympathy with the crowd yet. And that could be just because of what she's been doing, what she did in damage control for the last couple of years, kind of screwing over other people, like. So Bailey just kind of feels like very lukewarm. And EO, of course, like I think she's a great performer. I think it makes sense that she's women's champion, but she literally can't cut a promo in English, you know? So a lot of uh where the heat could have been is in promos. But if they can't really go back and forth with each other, then it just kind of feels very flat.
Yeah,
Like,
that proverbial barrier is there, like blocking any like real heat from picking up. Yeah, that makes sense. And the fact that I mentioned too, like the way her cash again on a hobble Bianca to win at SummerSlam, kind of like doesn't really do her any favors, right? For a
right.
build up going long term to be the champion this long, like for her to win the title that way and to be the champion this long is crazy. And like I talked about Rhea's run, who the hell is she fought? Well, I think she fought Charlotte once, and there was like interference coming in where she was able to pick up the victory. If I'm correct, they fought on a SmackDown, I think.
I
So,
think she had like I think Io had a title defense recently, but
oh,
I
she fought Naomi, but I don't think that was a title. I don't think the title was involved when she beat
thought
Naomi.
Michin or someone.
Mm. She did fight Mi Chin. I don't remember what was title, but she did beat her. And I think that was on SmackDown too. It wasn't like on a PLE. Um, Yeah, so I mean, again, we all with that match. Not really excited for it. It's probably gonna be a good match though. I'll watch it. I'm gonna watch all of Mania, but just the build up, like kind of been lackluster. But again, there are some barriers, like we mentioned, that can probably lead to that. Hey, well, we talk about another women's match. So Jade Cargill that's crazy for Jade to get her debut at Mania alongside Bianca and Naomi to battle damage control. You couldn't ask for a better situation, which just leads me to think, because you know what? It's funny because I think I talked to you about this too. How in a sports group I'm in, we was talking about Jade, like should they have her come to the Rumble? This is before Rumble happened, and one dude said, "Nah, they got to bring her in after Mania." I'm like, you know what? That might be good for her because she can get a lot of reps in. Um, she can get a lot of reps in, and she can build herself up so she's ready for the next Mania. But when they said that they'll go about to bring her out next week on SmackDown and have be the official debut of her on the SmackDown roster, I'm like, okay, so she's probably gonna help out Naomi and Bianca with the problems with damage control because it's 3 against 2. And they're not, so who else would it be? It would be Jade. And then we see Jade come out, and then all three of them looking like black superwoman, superhero women, point at the sign. All right, here
Uh,
we go. So this is good. This is smart. You're probably not really if you're a WWE, you're really not probably not that comfortable with her in ring ability just yet. But you get to mask her deficiencies if you think she has any in a 3-on-3 match. So
absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's
You?
gonna be a showcase for Jade's skills.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably not going to have to be in the ring for that long. She'll probably do like a couple of high spots, like power moves. And I think she'll be the one to pin one of the damage control women,
Yeah, you have to have her pinned. You have
Yeah.
got to do that for her to help build her up. Man, you know what? It's crazy. When I saw her last week walk out and cut that promo, I just felt bad for AEW. Well, you know what? Not really bad for AEW, but like, damn, like y'all had a star got away. But at the same time, I think it was good on both parties because AEW does cater more to people who follow like the independent circuit, the indies, whatever. Jay didn't have that background. She kind of learned. Did she learn on the Nightmare Factory too? I think she did, right?
I think she was probably trained by
Because
GT.
she was trained by Dustin and Daniel Bryan. So I mean, so she has help, but the fact that they don't have house shows kind of limits her getting her reps in. And WWE doesn't really cater to the indies. It's more it's more of a broader audience, more mainstream. And we all know I would be shocked if she did not have any aspirations outside of WWE to be like a star.
All right.
And I don't know, in whatever sector it is, like in Hollywood or something like that. So I think it was a perfect move on her part. But it's like, damn, man, like kind of sucks with AEW because she just has like money written all over her. Like she don't have to say anything, and then she was just like, wow, like look at her physique, look at her. I think she's great on the mic. I don't know about you. I love her on the mic. I always loved her on the mic in AEW. So it just sucks for them.
On them, you know? And she's the kind of person that's like, I don't know if people still channel flip or like, but if you're flipping channels and you see her, I don't care who you are, you're gonna stop and be like, who is this woman? Like she has like very, very distinct, striking looks. And yeah, I agree that AEW dropped the ball with her.
I mean,
By like
I heard Tony offered her more than WWE, but I think it was her just like wanted to be able to set herself up for outside of wrestling and other endeavors and everything. That's what I think.
yeah, I think she was probably thinking more about her career versus like that particular contract. But they also weren't doing right by her. It's just
Exactly. So look at this. Look at WWE did.
yeah.
My thing about her in AEW, they never put her with the big dogs in the division. They never had a like feud with a Britt Baker or a Saraya or Amy
Uh,
Hayter. Now you
yeah.
see her with Bianca and
Oh,
Naomi
yeah.
against Damage Control. So they're doing right by her, I think, in that sense. Like putting the like, yeah, they marketed her as like one of the hottest free agents, once in a generation type star, and they're treating her like that. They rolled out the red carpet. They're putting them in this feud on the biggest stage. They did right by her. I think that they were just trying to be a little bit too safe in AEW. Like, you gotta take that training wheels off, man. Just let her go, like with the top dogs. Having her be that title and dominate everybody, like every week, it didn't really do any justice. It kind of like I think held her back.
Yeah, and like from the reports, it's like the reason why WWE kind of held off for months on Jade's debut is because they felt like she didn't really have like the in-ring acumen to be on like TV. So it's like they just felt like whatever training she got in AEW was just not gonna cut it. So I think essentially they had to retrain her. Um and probably like train her out of those bad habits that she may have developed at AEW.
I mean, that's kind of harsh for me because my man, she really gets helped by Dustin and Daniel Brian Danielson. So I mean, like they guys can wrestle. I just think it's a lack of reps. No house shows. It's tough, and they do have a good thing with the performance center and everything. So I can think that helps out too. But the house shows, I think, is key. No house shows at AEW. It wasn't doing her any justice, I think, for her in ring work.
Yeah, because every time she wrestled, she had to be on TV, like in a spotlight. Although she was put in really dominant positions, but I think um I think now in WWE, she's gonna be very polished and clearly, I think a future women's champion
Oh,
probably.
absolutely. You
But
can't build her up like that and not put a title on her. It's
yeah,
gonna have to come sooner or later. Was gonna say too. Well, I thought she got better as time went on in AEW. Like I thought her best matchup was actually her last match. It was a collision, not a collision. I'm sorry, it was a Rampage episode main event. I remember it was her and Statlander rematch for the title, TBS title. I thought she was solid in the ring. Like that's like the best I ever seen her perform in an AEW ring. So But I guess WWE just thought, nah, it's not gonna cut it with our audience, whatever. We gotta have her learn some things or unlearn some things. But it is what it is. So yeah, we're in agreement that they're gonna win. That they should win tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yeah, they should for sure.
Right. Oh, I didn't even talk about. I forgot about this match. Jimmy, Jay, the
Yeah,
Usos. Do you
yeah,
know it's like the third time that brother versus brother, and all in increments of 15.
yeah.
WrestleMania 10. No, increments of 14. Oh, is it 15 or 14? It was increments of 10,
25.
20, 25, 40. Increments of 15. Yes. So
Yeah,
Owen and Brett, Matt, Jeff, Jimmy, Jay. I don't really care about this match like that. In terms of the whole backstory, it is what it is. I'm just gonna say, I just want to know what's the over and under for super kicks. Is it at 50?
uh,
What's the over under for super kicks?
5 or something.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
it's intriguing. So I will give WWE credit for like over the past couple years making Jimmy and Jay very like distinct personalities. Because I remember when they debuted and just I honestly did not know who was who. Like I'd have to remember like, oh, Jay has the tattoo here, Jimmy, but like, they were very much like not their own characters.
Mm.
And I letting them apart. I think Jay has become a actual star.
Oh,
Um
he's 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 probably top five most popular wrestlers in the company right now. Just off
ab-
popularity, I'm talking about.
absolutely, like, the fans love him. Like he's good in the ring, like he gets it hyped. And then with Jimmy, they're kind of doing a character of like he's like the slimy guy. He's trying to get the approval of his cousins, all this, and his brother Solo. They just like are not respecting him because he's a goof. But at the same time, like he's jealous of Jay's success without him, and jealous of the fact that Jay won the tag titles without him, and continually screwing Jay out of every title opportunity he gets, and it's like sort of you know that the feud is based on like years of kind of conflict between the Usos. So I am curious to see how the match is going to go. I think it is just going to go really well because, brother versus brother matches tend to be excellent because they know each other so well. And with wrestling, chemistry is like the biggest factor to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like um Cody and Dustin at the first All In, you know?
Oh, they fought at the first All In.
Yeah,
How was that match?
it was really good. It was
Oh, wow.
really, really, you know, it was a very epic match. Like they both bled, and at the end they like hugged each other. This is before AEW. It was like, so
Okay.
brother,
The event that essentially kind of like helped kickstart the birth of AEW.
exactly. It was like the foundation for AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think the brother versus brother match thing, like, I think it's pretty intriguing. I also feel like Jay needs to go over because to me he seems more like the actual single star. And right now Jimmy just seems like his best fit is like to be part of a faction.
I agree with that. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, like Jay's fight, he's hot right now. I knew he wasn't going to win the title against Gunther, and I knew that it was going to because Jimmy's going to interfere in some way somehow. And then he was over here ringing the bell with his hoodie on. I was like, okay, here we go. And then we started beating him up. I'm like, yep, another Mania match coming in the works. It's going to happen at Mania, brother versus brother. Talked about the brother versus brothers matches. Owen and Brett, probably the best opening match in WrestleMania history.
But
Classic. I never watched the Hardys. How was that match?
I don't think I've seen it either. Or if I did see it, it probably was like when WrestleMania 25 was happening. But I imagine it wasn't great. I don't know. I don't want to shit on. I've never really been a fan in ring work. Never.
Not a
Like
fan of who's winning, Matt? Yeah.
I love like in his generation, I think Jeff is like one of the greatest, you know, like,
Because
but
Jeff was heavyweight champion before, right? Didn't he
a couple,
beat? Wasn't it him, Triple H and Edge in a triple threat match and he won it?
yep, that was for the WWE championship.
Okay, okay.
Also been world heavyweight champion too a couple of times. Like he feuded with CM Punk. Um, so he's been champion, but Matt never. Matt was ECW champion. Doesn't really count for anything, but
Oh Lord, they put the ECW championship on Matt Hardy.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. You can do better than that, man. That's wild. I mean, no disrespect to Matt. I just don't, like you said, like I don't buy him as a singles guy. Never have. Um, a legend though in the business, but it is what it is. Yeah. Okay. So we're both in agreement that we think that Jay should win. It's going to be interesting to see. Maybe there will be some type of interference or an attempt by a Solo Sokoa. Who knows?
Yeah, he'd have to get involved at some point just because, you know, those are his brothers. So we'll see. But I
Yeah.
would like to reunite eventually because they're such an amazing tag team.
Yeah. I would say easily one of the best tag teams ever. I don't know where you want to rank him at, but yeah, it's kind of feels weird seeing them not being together. But it's kind of good to have Jay branch off, do his own thing. He's building up his stardom, which he's doing. He's proven that he can be a legit singles competitor for like at least in a continental title, I would say, at
Because
minimum. So, any other matches that you're looking forward to? Because honestly, I don't really care about any. I don't think I really care about any of the matches. Sammy and Gunther. I'm not following that much about it. That much of the match or like the backstory and everything leading up to the match. Well, I know that he beat Chad Gabriel to get the title shot against
right.
Gunther, and there's a lot of backlash for that. Is
Inter-
Chad like that over?
well, yes. So Chad Gable had like a some couple of excellent matches with Gunther for the Intercontinental, the IC title this past year, and he's gotten pretty over with at least the IWC, the internet fans. And there was internet backlash about Gable losing to Sammy, which is funny because last year the IWC was in full support of Sammy beating Roman at Elimination Chamber, and Sammy and KO beating the Usos at Mania. So like Sammy was the internet darling, but now it's Chad Gable. And I think like WWE has sort of been feeding into that narrative because on Raw this past week, I don't know if you saw it, but they like did a vignette where like Gable was like helping Sammy train for his match with Gunther, but he was like pushing Sammy to the limit and stuff like that. And
I didn't catch that vignette.
it was very like Rocky too, like very just like very dramatic and stuff like that. But I think they're kind of I think Gable's gonna be involved in the finish in some way. Um, but I also think like at some point Gunter needs to move on from the IC belt.
In possibly like being in a championship picture.
Yeah, the world heavyweight, not WWE championship, but like the world
Seth's
heavyweight.
title.
Yeah, Seth's title.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So like whether Gunter drops the belt voluntarily, like he gives it away, or I don't know if Sammy should be the one to end the reign.
It's
I
crazy.
don't
Like you mentioned about Sammy, like this year, last year around this time, he was on fire. He got essentially beat out of the bloodline, and he just came in like the underdog he wanted to root for. He had that crazy pop in his home, and that was Montreal, right? Against
against
yeah,
Roman.
and his home country against Roman, and then him and Owens defeated the Usos last year at Mania for the title and the main event too. Hit the main event spot at Mania. See, that's an example of you can miss your window, right? Now I don't think that ever happened like Cody Rhodes, but like it's just wild, like how we seen like last year. Everybody loved Sami Zayn. Everybody wanted to root for him. Now it's just like it's kind of an afterthought compared to what he was last year.
Because he hasn't done anything. And like I think he's an amazing performer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he puts his heart and soul into like everything that he does. But since the bloodline angle ended, he has not done anything notable, memorable. So I think, yeah, he's a guy who kind of lost his goodwill with the fans. And honestly, I think as good as he is, I think he's just on the card because of kind of the residual success he had last year. There's nothing that I this year to like earn a shot against Gunther. And then storyline wise, it would have made sense for Gable to be in this match based on like so the story has been like, Gable a couple times has faced Gunther for the title, and then it's like he comes close the first time. He comes even closer to beating Gunther a second time. So, you know, like it seemed like they were gonna go with Gable facing Gunther again at Mania and then maybe finally beating him. So
Mhm.
Sammy being wedged into the match like doesn't really I don't know. I just think like I think Sammy's sort of just living off of what happened last year.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really been following that at all. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't really care about that match. I have no dog in the fight. Oh, so what other matches are there? You got Logan, you got Randy and Kevin Owens for the triple threat match.
Right.
Haven't really been paying attention to that as well either.
What do you think about
I would think Logan's gonna win. I mean, what benefit does that do for Randy Orton to be U.S. title champion or Kevin Owens at this point in their career? Right. I would think it's only logical that Logan retain at Mania.
I have Logan retaining. I agree. I don't think KO or Randy would benefit from uh being in being US champion. They both held the title before. Um and I do think this is another case of like just trying to get people on the card somehow. Like, I don't know. I think like um so Owens and Randy have not interacted, like physically interacted this whole time during the feud. It's like they've kind of just been beating up on Logan, and they've also been tag teaming with each other.
Hmm.
So maybe at Mania or maybe tonight in SmackDown, there'll sort of be more of a physical confrontation between them. But that's a match I'm not really excited for. It just seems like, yeah, middle of the card match. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't be. But I don't think it's to me, it just seems very heatless.
I
Uh,
agree, which is why I haven't really been paying attention to it. And I feel like I said, I think it's predictable. Who's gonna be victorious? It's like, I don't really care about that match. Another match though. Well, I was gonna say this. I'm not really excited for it. I did find it funny what I saw today, from WrestleMania World.
yeah,
Um, AJ and and LA Knight. You see them when they're fighting that when they got into a brawl at WrestleMania World.
yeah, they're like fighting near like autograph stands and stuff, and I think AJ slammed LA Knight twice or something. Like it just reminded me like at like Ringe Aladdin where like dudes would be fighting like in the cafeteria and somebody just picks up another dude, just like scoops him up and slams him like that kind of fight of just it looked pretty real.
Yeah, it did. Did a great job of selling that. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
front. It did
Like
a
they
great
were at
job.
for grappling. They weren't like the typical wrestling fight of like forearms back and forth. Like they were actually it looked like these were two giant men like struggling to
Mhm.
fight, you know. So I don't know, dude. Like I'm not excited about this match at all. And like
Me either. That's why I saved it for like the bottom of the pod, the bottom ninth of the pod.
I don't know why. And they're doing a good enough job building it up and building heat, I guess.
Mhm.
Like the heat is there. It's just like I'm tired of AJ. And AJ's another he's great, like even at his age right now, he's still great, but I think it's just this combination is just not doing it for me. Like it's just I don't
Kind of
care
feels
who.
forced.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It feels forced. Like
Maybe that's why I'm not really into it. Whenever when I see their segments on TV, like didn't one of them go to some the other's house and was
yeah,
fighting? Okay.
I like house and
Hmm.
was fighting him when the cops were called, and it just They're doing kind of outrageous shit to like build it up, but at the end of the day, it's like I really don't care. And like I love LA Knight. I think he's awesome. Like I think he's also a guy that got cooled off considerably, um, especially after he lost to Roman at Crown Jewel. It was
I
sort of
agree. It kind of feel like his flame is kind of like fizzled out.
yeah.
I don't know about Foley, but it don't feel the same like it did. His parents like, wow, like this guy's a megastar. Doesn't quite feel star still. Not really a megastar though.
He's taken a couple steps backwards,
I agree.
and I think honestly, I do think it kind of hurts him that The Rock came back. Like,
I was gonna say that if The Rock wasn't here, he probably was. I think The Rock's kind of like dimmed his light because honestly, he is like. Remember when Roman said that he's like a cosplay hillbilly version of his cousin?
because he really,
Oh, a cosplay redneck version of his cousin is what he said. Yo, he killed him with that promo. I'm like, that's crazy. And now The Rock's here, so I was like, yeah, we got the real one here, not the imitation.
we don't need you. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever interact because of that because it will just look so silly.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh yeah, please keep them away at all times from the. Oh God, I do not want to see them both on my TV at the same time. I'll be so pissed off.
like, but
So,
yeah, man,
what other matches are on the card at Mania? You got the tag team. I don't really care about the Judgment Day, but who are they fighting again?
uh, it's a 6 pack.
Oh God.
Well, there's a bunch of different teams.
Mhm.
Um, and the way that a couple of days ago, WWE tweeted like that the match is gonna have like both sets of titles like hanging above the ring. So it seems like they may do something where one team grabs like the SmackDown titles and the other team grabs the Raw titles. And then that way they can kind of split the the championships. Like I feel they might do something like that.
You know what? That's crazy. So the titles are they might as well be unified. Why we need a SmackDown champion and a Raw champion? Unify that title, man. Not every title needs to have his own for Raw and SmackDown. Yeah,
I mean,
stupid.
I'm just splitting it and they're just having like
You think there's enough talent to have two champions, tag champions?
I think so. I think so. And then there's like teams that are like really good, but they don't really get like recognition. Like, do you know Pretty Deadly?
The guys with the long hair?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like they're really, you know,
I can't
they
I,
get
I can't take a seriously. That just feels like too much like new generation era for me. So I don't take them seriously.
I
I
think
don't
it's
know
kind
why.
of like the point that gimmick is like they're just goofballs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's enough talent. There's enough talent, the Street Profits, Authors of Pain. Like there's enough talent on both shows that the titles can be split, I think.
Hmm.
But I mean I can also see the argument for putting them together, which like they have put it together, but like the aesthetic of like the two belts, I think, is just kind of dumb at this point.
And those belts are ugly. They redesign those belts,
They do.
please.
They
And the
do.
IC title. I hate all. I think I hate every title except for the champion title for the men's and women's. Like all those titles, they're fine. The design are cool. Are they other title? Get them done. Like get them done over. The US title's okay, but the tag team titles are ugly.
Yeah, they're
they
not
got they got to do something about that.
they're hideous.
Exactly, man. All right, so you know what? Before we get out of here, I gotta get your thoughts on CM Punk caused I know caused quite a storm, I would say, on social media and the wrestling community with this appearance on the MMA Hour show when he was talking about his time in AEW, all the issues he had with Jack Perry, Tony Khan, the EVPs. Um, a lot of people thought that he like exposed AEW and it was just a bad look, a really, really bad day for them. What was your initial thoughts when you watched it or when you saw the clips from the episode?
I mean, a lot of the stuff that Punk was talking about were like things that people already knew, But
Yeah, got a good sense of, yeah. But
yeah,
it's like now we got it confirmed.
he was confirming it. He was confirming it for sure. And I think that he really did want AEW to work. And I think he did want to be there and contribute, but the Young Bucks seem to have like a personal issue with him, and it was less about doing business and making money and making the company grow, and it was more of having their friends and their inner circle be the ones like in prominent position. So
Now we say talk about like Kenny Omega
Omega
and
Man, um, you know, like I think Jack Perry felt emboldened to say what he said to Punk on camera and backstage because of his connection with the Bucks, like the EVPs.
mhm.
Um, and I think like Punk really did go into it more business minded and probably didn't know that it was way more of a insular company than it actually was because like those guys aren't business. Like none of like even Tony Khan, like his dad is a businessman, right? And but I don't think Tony Khan really has a business acumen. I know the Bucks don't because they're just like independent wrestlers. Like so and I don't think that they're really necessarily thinking about who they can bring in to like be successful. Maybe they're trying now, but um for Tony to fire Punk to this day, his biggest merch seller. They were breaking ticket sales with him, like for him to fire Punk over a fight with Jack Perry is just very short sighted. And now it's like so like Dynamite has not hit a million viewers in over
in
a
like
year.
60 weeks, some shit like that. I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And when they hit a million viewers, Punk was on the show, I'm guessing.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So and you can see now it's like when Punk was on Raw the other day, like it was a huge rating.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
He moves the
He's a needle
needle.
mover.
He gets people talking,
Mhm.
and it did sound like Punk was still kind of holding on to an element of bitterness about what happened with AEW.
Just a
I,
little, I think so.
I think he was sold an idea of what the company was going to be like, and it just didn't really come to fruition.
Mhm.
Um, and I I was surprised that he was that kind of transparent and open about what had gone on, like with him and Jungle Boy, and also like his opinions about Tony Khan. Um, but it was also refreshing to hear his side of the story. He's kind of the only person that like has talked about it
Yeah, because
publicly.
I think doing interview with Tony on that same show, and Tony was just like kind of deflecting, saying he can't talk about it, and he got him frustrated and everything. So now Punk comes on as like a breath of fresh air because now he's gonna like he's over here like spilling everything that transpired behind the scenes. So it's like wow, yeah, it just sucks for AEW, man. Like, hey, I'm a wrestling fan. Um, I like what they're doing so far. And now it's not, is it perfect? Hell no, it's not perfect. Can a lot of things be better? Yes, it can. But at the same time, man, I think people are a little hard on them. It's only been 5 years, well, just about 5 years. Well, then the company came out early on in 2019. Officially, Dynamite was launched in the fall of 2019. So yeah, whatever you want to say, about 5 years, right? You're gonna go through growing pains. That it's tough right now. That like can't hit up like I think last week's show, last show was like 747 viewers. Haven't hit a million in a while. Mercedes, I knew that Mercedes being signed wasn't going to change anything right away. It's going to be an over. If it didn't happen, it's going to take a while, especially since I don't think she's even cleared to fight yet because the fact that she was talking about she's going to face the winner of Willow and Julia at Double or Nothing. That's in May. What the fuck are you going to do? What the fuck are you going to do between then? So I have a feeling like she's not really been cleared yet.
I mean, that's very possible because the fact that like she hasn't wrestled since she debuted almost a month ago is just very puzzling.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like they need to capitalize on her. I like her being a ratings difference that's just not going to happen. I honestly thought Big Business was gonna do really well just because of the way they were hyping the show. Um, and live the show was like really great. It was like
Oh, great.
one of the coolest atmospheres I've watched a wrestling show, but I guess it just didn't really translate ratings wise.
Mhm.
And
Well, to
now,
be fair, her segment, her opening segment had like 1 million viewers. Then the rating kind of dipped throughout the course of the show. So
true,
I guess you could say, hey, she did her part.
but like like historically with the opening segment, because the lead in is the Big Bang Theory. It's like that show gets like over. It's in syndication, but it gets over 1 million views.
Still, it's syndication.
Yeah, it's in syndication.
What the heck?
So, so that like the reruns get over 1 million views. So a lot of times the overrun. So Dynamite starts at like 8:01. So those viewers kind of bleed into like the first segment. So that
Mm-hmm.
number kind of gets like this artificial inflation.
Mm.
And I remember just being like, this was even being live. I was like, this was a really weird choice to have Mercedes open the show because so the reason I say that is like from like a rating standpoint, it's
Oh,
like from a rating standpoint, it's like yeah, we all knew that Mercedes was going to debut, right? But like you kind of want the audience to stick with the show throughout to sort of like build that intrigue and anticipation, you know, maybe have her come out the last segment. Um,
or kind of like put it like in between, like around 9.
at the top of the hour,
Yeah.
something, you know? So it was like they just kind of blew their load early. It was just like, all right, she's here. And then, but I think one of the biggest issues with AEW is like they announce everything that's gonna be on the card. You know, so
Okay.
so the problem with that is like, you know, wrestling fan looks at the card. All right, none of these things interest me, or maybe one of these two matches interest me. Like, I'm gonna tune out after that. Like, it kind of gets rid of sort of the need to kind of stick around.
The
Because like, so
suspense.
Raw doesn't really do that, or SmackDown doesn't really do that. Like, they may announce like one or two segments or like one or two matches before the show, but kind of throughout the show, you don't really know what's going to happen, right? There's sort of this element of surprise of like, oh, what matches are going to come up? Who's going to call out who? Like, how's this going to lead to a match? Like, there's so many like permutations, but like to keep it interesting, to keep you wanting to watch. But AEW doesn't do that. They lay out everything.
Yeah,
You know,
they do it, delayed everything for the most part.
yeah. Just I guess like just like a traditional boxing card would, or like MMA,
Yeah.
but it's pro wrestling, so part of that is spontaneity, you know, of like you don't know what's gonna happen,
Mhm.
but you know what's gonna happen because they're telling you what's on the card. So I think that's another big thing too. Is like, and I think they kind of need to do more promos. Like the map based wrestling stuff is excellent. I think
I
you
mean, the in
know,
ring, the in ring. Oh,
rings.
amazing! That Osprey match in Hobbs was incredible. This
Yeah,
past, oh, you see it?
I didn't see it. No,
Amazing, amazing. Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, like you said, like they got some good things, but obviously they got stuff to work on. I just said to say, man, like I don't know. I know people like to in the IWC like to take shots at AEW for their lack of attendance, um, their poor ratings. But man, hey man, I think it's just going through growing pains. I think that's just the hope for the company. Like you said, Tony's trying to be aggressive and everything. Did you watch Pat Mc the we don't watch the Pat McAfee show, right? But do you? Did you see it today or hear clips today?
So I saw he said something about like Dominic. He was like, if Dominic wasn't with Rhea, he'd be on the other show. Like
In
I'm
front
trying
of
to.
600 people. I'm like, oh man, that take us out to AEW. And then a lot of people thought Triple H was alluding to Will Ospreay. I'm gonna paraphrase saying that if I know that if you say, oh, I want to be here because the schedule was too grueling, or I want to be time more at home more, then I already know that it's good that I didn't get you or something like that. So people thought he was talking about Will Ospreay and everything. Um, yeah,
I would.
man. I mean, I think Will Ospreay is going to be. I see people say, "Oh, he's going to regret his choice." I'm like, is he really? He's making a lot of money. He gets to live in the UK. He gets to do what he loves. I think he'll be fine.
Um, he's being put in a prominent position. He doesn't have to wrestle every week. He'd probably have to wrestle every week if he was in WWE. You know, he still
Oh,
gets to.
oh, he couldn't live in the UK. He had to be in the States.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's tough, but I get it. But like, and then, I don't know if you've seen Cody, right? Because Cody was on the show after the MMA show, and he said, and dude asked him like, what your experience is similar to Punk's, and he said that wasn't his experience. He had nothing but respect for Jack and Matt and Tony and everybody who helped start that because he was there. He was in those rooms, so he wished them all well. And but his and Punk's experiences are totally different. So it's
Yeah, but
good.
like Cody knows how to. I think he's probably not looking to, and why would he? He's not looking to burn bridges,
I mean,
right?
he's still cool with the Young Bucks.
Right.
Those are his people. So he's still cool with Omega, and I don't know if he's really cool with still with Tony Khan, but everybody else I know is cool with. I wonder what happened. Like, what made him want to leave? And I never seen any reports about him, like why he left AEW. Do you know why?
Um, I think I think Tony Khan ended up wanting to have
Power.
and more of an input in what was going on. Um, and if you listen to Cody, it was important for him to go back to WWE and win the championship that eluded his father for his whole entire career. And I think he probably would not have felt like, even though he was very successful starting this company that rivaled WWE. I think he would have felt like his career was not truly fulfilled until he won that championship for his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I saw a quote going around the internet today about from Brandy Rose. I don't know if it's real or not, but I think it is. I'm gonna paraphrase this. Like once you saw it was heading in a different direction than what it originally was, meaning AEW. She knew it was eventually time to like split and do her own thing. Paraphrasing that, so maybe that is a reason why. I
Well,
mean,
so
one could assume that if she felt that way, that her husband felt that way. Right?
I didn't watch the entire Cody segment, but I saw there was a clip where he said that Brandy was like treated very badly in AEW, and for that, like he to this day, like he said he would never forgive that. But I don't think he really went into detail
I
about.
don't know if I remember that because I watched the whole thing. It was in the background while I was working and everything, listening to the background. I gotta hear that again. Cause
All right,
then I think that that's the reason why we are not no longer in AEW and in WWE and a megastar. Nobody thought that Cody would be this big in popularity. Nobody would have ever thought that. That sucks.
yeah, I'm
AEW.
right. It's like they lose Jade, they lose Punk, and then they lose Cody.
Yeah.
Like three huge stars. Cody and Punk are like, um, you know, like changing the ratings whenever they're on a segment. Like you know. So they lost all the star power and haven't really adequately
Recovered.
yeah. Like
Mm.
Edge isn't really working out, I think. Like Okada hasn't really contributed to the ratings. Osprey, Mercedes, whoever they're bringing in, it's like they haven't really been able to compensate for what they've lost. Granted, like you said, it does take time to uh establish a company, and it's only been 5 years.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and I don't think any promotion has been under this intense of a microscope like AEW has.
It's like every Thursday that people are tweeting out the Raiders are in. Like, oh, y'all got to stop with this, man. This is crazy. Like, why are you trying to compare Yo, they are up. They are up against something that no other promotion has been up against in terms of like this machine as the WWE, right? Because like they really had a monopoly on this business since the past 20 years, and they are just in another stratosphere. Even Triple H was alluding to it today on the Pat McAfee show, saying how like there is no competition. We're only competing with ourselves. It is what it is. I know it's gonna rush people the wrong way. A lot of people take that as an AEW shot too as well. And I think that's justifiable right there. But hey, it's the truth. He said we're competing with the Attitude Era, the aggression era. That's the only thing that we're competing with right now. I mean, they're up against a tall task, man. Like it's like WWE is engraved in so many people's minds about what wrestling is, what it should look like, what should come with it. So it's a tough task. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a long time to even be remotely close on a level of WWE. Let me ask a question because you know what? I heard this before. I don't know if you was watching it. Were you watching AEW in the beginning? Because I wasn't.
Yes.
Some people told me that the booking was better when Cody was there. They felt like the booking was better. Or maybe they're saying that because when AEW was around, was like really picking up steam, WWE was kind of was trash because Vince still had a creative. So I don't know if that plays into fact on what people are saying that, but a lot of people will say that when Cody was there, the booking was better.
I mean, I think it was more long term. Like they had the story about Hangman. He was like basically dealing with alcoholism, and then he sort of like turned it around and then became world champion. Like that was kind of a long story. Um,
Oh, the
and
best story I think is in the history of AEW. Sorry to cut you off. It got to be CM Punk and MJF so far. That was the best story. I remember that.
yeah, and I think Cody left. Cody left at that point, I think.
Oh, he left at that point.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. I don't think Cody and Punk were in AEW at the same time.
Well, I saw somebody the dude I follow from what his name Raj something. I think he had a magazine or a website whatever. I remember when Cody and Punk had that face off heading to the Mania, heading into the Rumble. He tweeted like, "Damn, Tony Khan, you had both of them at the same time." That's what he said. So maybe they
Okay.
were on the roster at the same time. If it was, damn, that sucks too, because that's crazy. Those guys are two stars right now in WWE.
Them both. Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, I guess they're gonna have to put more emphasis on character development. And I hate to say, hey, it's safe to say it, but yeah, but everybody complains about it. I guess put more emphasis on storytelling too. But I think that they're doing a good job. Hey, my thing is, I don't want to see them be WWE. We already have WWE. I don't want to see a company that's trying to mirror what WWE is doing. I think the last few weeks have been relatively good in terms of like people complain about the presentation. Not we want packages. I seen them put emphasis of showing packages of Mercedes. They're showing a package of Danielson as he's like getting ready to fight Osprey at Dynasty. I see that they're doing that they're putting into their show. I'm seeing like even like last Dynamite that episode was trash, but I like the last segment with the contract signing with Samoa and
And
Swerve.
Swerve.
I thought that was pretty cool. So I don't know. I just feel like people aren't watching really, and they're just kind of like sticking to their having that allegiance with WWE. That because it's kind of crazy to think about it. A lot of people on the internet probably all they know is WWE. We grew up in an era with those multiple promotions on television. A lot of people are growing up with only one thing, one promotion. So I can't really be mad at them too much. Man. I'm just like, man, just enjoy it, man. Did you hear about Ed? Did you watch Ed's promo about AEW, or did you? Probably you heard about it, but did you watch it or hear
I
it?
watched it. I kind of felt like Edge was like kind of put out there to like be a proxy for Tony Khan. You know, it was,
Probably should have had somebody else do it. Not an ex WWE guy.
that's what I heard someone say online too. It's like we could have had someone who was there from day one do it.
Yeah,
But
like was it? Nah, the Young Bucks that wouldn't work because they're EVPs. I mean, I don't know who else could. Who could it have been? I'm trying to think.
Well, all the
Hangman's not on TV right now. Swerve. It would have been more valid if Swerve did it. Because
yeah.
remember, he wasn't in WWE long, and they let him go and got cut and everything. Because in NXT, got moved to SmackDown with Hit Row, and then was let go shortly after. Swerve would have been more
Or even
believable.
where Hangman is, but that could have made more sense. But I think they wanted
Oh,
Edge is
somebody who's seasoned, who's been around for years, which he has, because he mentioned how he grew up watching all these promotions and everything. And but I can't really believe that AEW is the most fun he's ever had in a promotion. I just can't buy that.
it's probably the most money he's ever made, but that doesn't equate fun. I think it's he was just saying that.
Yeah.
They're
Like,
very
man, like you was in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era. And tell me that this is more fun than that. You got to cut it out, man. But
really
hey,
deep.
I think the message was good. Probably wasn't the right messenger, but I think the message was good, man. Like, yo, AEW has done a lot for this business. You got a lot of people who probably couldn't get a chance to work in WWE, who are able to provide for their families, doing something that they love, and get the opportunity to put their talents on full display. And then does AEW existence really bother people like that? Like, why does another promotion being on TV bother you? I mean, you don't see TNA getting heat, but every time AEW the following day at the Dynamite, oh, the Raiders are in. Like we never see anybody go after TNA. I get it, probably because TNA doesn't have the resources that AEW has, because Khan got deep pockets. It's like, come on, man, just enjoy wrestling, man. I like it. I like them both. Obviously, WWE's better. It's been around like it's got like a 50+ year head start. It should be better. It's a juggernaut.
Wasn't
Like
always
like
bad.
like what Tony's doing is way more difficult than what Eric Bischoff had to deal with. Like, think about it. When Eric Bischoff came to WCW and then launched Nitro, they had already acquired probably the biggest wrestler rather of all time, Hogan. So that's like Tony getting John Cena, right? Like to probably really like compete with these dudes and go head to head, he's probably gonna have to get like John Cena. That's never gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? But
All right.
oh, it's tough. It's gonna be a battle. But like, and again, like it's not like he's ever now. I'm like people like shit like he's saying like, oh, they're on WWE's level. We're competing with them. I always heard the word alternative. That's fine to me. It's an alternative. I think it's a legit alternative. The first legit alternative we had since WCW. I know some people like kind of like TNA. I can never get into TNA. Now, were you watching TNA before? Like a lot of people say that Eric Bischoff ruined TNA. Him and Hogan coming in because they got rid of like the 6-side ring, whatever.
I mean, I've pretty much watched every um like incarnation of TNA. So like that was like around 2010 when Hogan and Bischoff came in, and like they moved Impact on Mondays to like be head to head with Raw. But basically they were doing the same mistakes that WCW did by
Wait,
bringing
wait,
in
wait, wait. They moved Impact to compete with Raw on
yeah,
a Monday night. Get the
yeah.
fuck out of here.
Like they won the ratings like once, maybe that like debut episodes, and then after that they just got smacked by Raw.
Uh,
But
From what I heard, that episode was heavy with like Foley, Sting, I think, Hogan. Is that right? I think they had like a lot of heavy hitters on that episode, because I heard that the episode got like 1 million viewers. I think 1 million plus.
yeah, so I mean it popped the rating, but like I think AEW has done a better job than TNA has at its stage of existence.
So wait, so when you said like, so are you saying that you think that it was a bad decision that like WCW go trying to go up against WWE head to head?
Um, yeah, I
Or is it
mean
because they brought in a lot of like past wrestlers and were like building up new people?
I mean, well, in general, I think Monday nights are just so synonymous with like WWE wrestling that like it's you're not gonna have any promotion compete head to head in that time slot. With TNA, they were bringing in some of the same guys that were there towards the tail end of WCW, like Sting,
Ugh.
Bischoff, Hogan, Flair, but they were also mixing them up with like younger guys too. But it kind of just seemed like they were just rehashing WCW like 10 years after the fact,
Mm.
you know. So, and TNA's still going strong for the most part. I mean,
You watch it?
I watch it sometimes, yeah.
I don't have that channel that comes on. It's on a YouTube TV. Is that Access or something like that? I think I heard.
I watch like the clips and stuff like that. Like, I'm trying to think who's their champion. I forget who their champion is. Maybe Moose. I don't know if you know who Moose is. He's this giant black man. but but
That's a crazy description. That's a vague description. That's funny. Now I want to watch it though because I'm trying to I want to watch a little bit of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I want to just no, AEW has kind of opened my eyes to like wrestling, not looking at wrestling solely through the lens of WWE and the way they present it, but seeing how it's presented, like how it's presented overall. You know what I'm saying, through various corporations. So I want to watch like TNA or New Japan. I think I might as well like go on to YouTube and try to look at some clips or whatever because I don't have those channels and everything. So AEW, right? They got I mean, now some people said that they are kind of doing that by taking a lot of like, I think because Bishop loves going at Tony on his podcast. So he was talking about like he was trying to, I guess like he was like calling him a hypocrite before because he's signing a lot of past WCW guys. Sorry, a lot of past WWE guys, but he's not like putting them up there like to be like the face of the company. I think like Bishop was doing. I mean, I think they got some homegrown stars so far. I think Swerve is a star. He was never a star in WWE. Tony Storm, I think, is a star with his gimmick, with the Thomas Tony Storm gimmick. Never was a star in WWE. MJF is a megastar. They cannot lose him at all. They gotta keep him in AEW. Whatever they gotta do. Because I feel like if he ever went to WWE, he might be as big as Cody. Maybe even bigger.
yeah,
I
I
think he
mean
has
they're
that much charisma.
like being at Mania.
Oh, it was funny. They were chanting his name today at WWE World during the Pat
Wow.
McAfee show. They were saying MJF. When Cody was on, they were chanting MJF. I was like, well, MJF, that's crazy. Go, like, dudes know, like, I love. He's probably my favorite wrestler in AEW since watching it. I think has been MJF. That because his charisma, his in rings, I think is very good too. He's young. He's got all the talent in the world, so they gotta do whatever they can to keep on to him and not
I
lose
don't
him.
know. And it's hurting them that he's not on. He's not on TV.
Yeah, that is hurting him, man. I
And
wonder
himself.
what his status is. I think it's hurt. I even think to a lesser extent, Brent Baker not being that's hurting them.
I think so too. I think like they um they let off the gas way too early with Brett, and I think even if she came back, I don't know if she'd be able to recover because it's been so long.
How long has he
Uh,
been gone for? Do you know?
damn, it feels like it's like almost a year or something.
Really? It was an injury, right? Like a back or something like that. I think.
I think right now, I think she's healthy right now.
I saw her. I think I saw her on a pod recently, and she's pretty much like is kind of healthy. Like you said, but I think initially she was injured. Um, but yeah, I think to a lesser extent that's hurting them. I guess you could put Jamie Hayter in there too as well. A lot of like big heavy hitters for them are not available. And then we also seen like you seen like they did their first ever roster cut.
Uh,
Did you see that?
yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So it's like it's tough, but hey, man, I don't know. I just think the more wrestling, the more opportunities for people to shine, the better.
exactly.
So it is what it is. But you're right, like nobody's competing with WWE. It's gonna be a long time for anybody legitimately competes because this hole that they have on the wrestling world, it's crazy.
yeah.
Mm. Um, we can wrap this up. What's your plans for Mania? Are you gonna watch it at? You know, go to a friend's house or?
Night one, going to my friend James's house to watch that, and then night two, I'm going to my friend Jay's house to watch that. So, and then tomorrow morning, Stand and Deliver NXT show.
Oh, that's like at noon, right? I think I seen
I think it starts at 11.
noon or one. Oh, damn.
So
Yeah,
I mean, I'm excited. It's a pretty like I'm pretty hyped for this weekend.
yeah. Even that event good. Well, with ticket sales like 12,000, I think. I'm like, Jesus Christ, WWE's on fire. They're not missing at all. This is crazy. It's a crazy run, man. I'm mad I'm not in Philly, man. I should have went to Philly at least to go to all the events that are going on there, like Wale Mania or my man West Side Gun, one of my favorite rappers, got his own event. I guess kind of gonna be like Wale Mania, called The Hills Have Eyes. Like the shirt he has for it is crazy. The eyes of like Andre the Giant, Heenan, I think, Perfect, Piper. It's crazy. I'm like, I should have went to that event. I think that's tonight. One of my boys are going out there tomorrow, and West Side Gun got a pop up at like a pretty big wrestling toy store out there. Oh, I should have went to even if I wasn't going to Mania, I should have just went out there just to
Yeah.
the atmosphere to experience everything that surrounding the event. I'm pissed,
You
and
watch
I
a
think
Smack?
next year is going to be in Minnesota. I think. Ugh.
Oh,
I try to
yeah.
go to Minnesota.
Are you watching SmackDown tonight?
Yeah, I'm watching that today. I want to see how they do like leading into the event. And then of course following that is going to be the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which is pretty weak, man. I think it's a weak class.
There's
They
no one
couldn't
I'm excited.
they couldn't got anybody. I mean, Heyman's a legend. I think Heyman is because it's in Philly. It's only right that he be be the headliner. But overall, I think the class is lackluster. Maybe that's why they didn't put in. I think there's a reason why they didn't put Bray Wyatt in this year. I didn't find out why. I saw a headline about why they didn't, but I didn't read the article.
All the reasoning.
Um, yeah, so maybe next year, Bray will be the headline.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually we see more big names going in. So this year it's like I honestly I forget. Well, I think his uncle's going in, right? One of his uncles is going in.
His dad.
That's his
His
dad.
like
That's not his dad. That's IRS going in.
IRS is his dad. Yeah. Like
No,
he
no,
was like,
no. I know IRS is his dad, but IRS dad, his dad's not getting inducted. I thought it was like his uncle or something like that.
I
Because I
think
could have sworn IRS is already in. I saw a sport that I saw him get inducted.
his dad's getting inducted as part of like this like tag team. Like I think they're called
Oh,
Press or something like that. Or like I had never heard of them before.
mm. Yeah, and everybody else I don't really know. I think the Rock is that the Rock's mother getting inducted, or is that his mother?
His grandmother or something was a
Oh,
booker.
yeah. Okay. So it's like, all right, this is interesting. Um, yeah. So I mean, I guess I can watch that tonight. I think it's gonna be on Peacock, not on Fox. So it has to be on Peacock. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll tune in. If not, I'll get the highlights tomorrow morning and I'll probably just watch Paul Heyman's speech. You think they did a good job of electing Roman to induct him?
I'm sure like in an alternate universe they probably would have chose Brock, but with
Oh, yeah,
all the
absolutely. I was thinking like, damn, man, if Brock's name wasn't involved in that scandal with Vince, it probably would have been Brock to elect him into Hall. Because I feel like yeah, Roman's on a unprecedented run, and I think a big part of that is Paul Heyman. But at the same time, I feel like when I think of Paul Heyman, I think of Brock first before I think of Roman. That's
yeah,
just
I
me.
mean Roman's his latest client, but he's not. I think even Punk, you kind of could have made an argument for Punk too.
You know, it's crazy, and I wasn't watching wrestling with that, so Punk was being managed by Paul Heyman too. That's great. Yeah, I always forget that. I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't watch wrestling back then.
Yeah, and even then, it was like when there was a new ECW, Heyman was a huge supporter of Punk. Like when Punk debuted, like in 2006, like
Oh, you're talking about that revamped ECW, that garbage. A lot of people thought, especially if you was like a ECW lifer, you probably thought that was garbage. It
very
was being displayed. Okay, yeah. So I mean, but yeah, again, I guess it's fresh. But Roman, he is a big part of Roman's success too. So I don't think they could. I don't think that they got it wrong with that. But hopefully his speech is good, man. I think do you have him as the best manager of all time? I still have Heenan, but hey, you know what? If somebody said Paul, I wouldn't be mad at all.
yeah. I mean, I think it's like historically, I would say Bobby Heenan, although that was before my time,
Mm,
but Heyman is definitely up there for sure. Yeah.
yeah. So I think I got if I had a Mount Rushmore, and I hate this Mount Rushmore talk, but if I did, it would be Heenan, Heyman, Mr. Fuji,
Paul Bearer.
Paul Bear. Yeah, Paul. I'll put Paul Bear up this on the strength of Taker because I think that he is like I think he was pivotal to Taker's success early on, right? With that gimmick and how they were just like it's like like such a perfect marriage between the two.
Right.
That like you got to throw Paul Bear in there, man. From what I watched in my lifetime of wrestling managers. So yeah, that's my list right there. But all right, man, I'll let you get out of here. I appreciate you. We can probably talk about this throughout the week, whatever, after tomorrow night
Yeah.
and Sunday.
Nice. All right. Enjoy this weekend.
Oh, you too, man. Thanks. Take care.
All right. No problem.
Yep.
Peace.